A CEO demanded a translation from Maid's daughter. Her fluency ended the mockery. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's incredible story. Imagine walking into a room, confident, powerful, and surrounded by your peers, all admiring you. This was the world of David Carter, CEO of one of the largest tech companies in the United States. His empire was built on innovation, intellect, and an unwavering belief in his own abilities. But there was one thing that David never expected to happen, something that would shake his entire view of the world. It all started on a regular Thursday afternoon, with a routine meeting in his sleek, modern office. The large glass windows offered a stunning view of the city, where the hum of the bustling metropolis below seemed to echo David's busy mind. His team of engineers, the best in the business, sat around the conference table, discussing an important project that could potentially change the future of technology. But as the meeting continued, something unexpected happened. David's gaze wandered toward a small figure in the corner of the room. It was Lily, the young daughter of his housekeeper. She had been sitting quietly by the door, not meant to be part of the high-level discussions happening around her. The room was filled with the sound of corporate jargon, but Lily, in her simplicity, was out of place. She was only there because her mother had been asked to help clean the office that day. At first, David didn't think much of her presence. He assumed she would remain silent, just like the other staff members who were around. But then, something caught his attention. One of his engineers, feeling frustrated with a translation issue in a technical report, scoffed and jokingly asked Lily, "Can you translate this? You're the only one left here who might actually know something about languages." The room fell silent for a moment, and everyone, including David, chuckled. It was meant to be. A joke, a harmless remark. But little did they know, Lily was not just a housekeeper's daughter. She was a child prodigy, fluent in multiple languages, including some rare and ancient ones. Her mother had always encouraged her to learn, even though their humble circumstances kept them from much else. With calm confidence, Lily stood up and walked over to the table. She carefully examined the technical document, her small fingers brushing over the words. "I can help," she said quietly, but her voice carried across the room. The engineers looked at each other, bemused. David himself raised an eyebrow, surprised that the little girl was taking the task seriously. What happened next stunned everyone. With a precision and fluency that left the engineers speechless, Lily began to translate the complex technical terms into perfect English. It was flawless. The room went from amused to silent, and David's expression shifted from skepticism to awe. He had never expected such a display of intelligence and skill from someone so young, and certainly not from someone who had been dismissed as a mere child of the cleaning staff. The engineers exchanged glances, their smug attitudes vanishing. David stood up, his mind racing. This was no joke. Lily had not only solved their problem, but had done so in a way that left everyone in the room humbled. David, who was used to being the one with all the answers, now found himself speechless. The child he had barely acknowledged had just shown him a brilliance he could not ignore. He looked at Lily, his tone softening. "Thank you," he said, genuinely moved. "You've just saved this project." As the room remained in stunned silence, David stood still, his mind reeling from the revelation that Lily, the maid's daughter, had just proven herself to be far more than anyone had imagined. He had asked her to translate a simple document, and in return, she had displayed an extraordinary talent that left even the best engineers in the room speechless. It was a moment of realization for David, one he would not easily forget. Slowly, the murmurs of disbelief began to fade as the engineers exchanged uncertain glances. The atmosphere in the room had shifted completely. No longer was Lily the quiet girl in the corner, dismissed by everyone for her humble background. In that moment, she had taken center stage and shone. Her brilliance. As the engineers quietly discussed their next steps, David approached Lily, his steps slow, deliberate. He had never expected to see such an exceptional display of intelligence from someone in her position. He had been so focused on the brilliance of his own team that he had failed to notice the hidden potential right under his nose. The thought hit him hard. How many other hidden talents had he overlooked simply because they came from a background like Lily's? Standing in front of her now, he could see the way her eyes avoided direct contact, as if she still feared being dismissed. He could feel the weight of his previous judgment on her. "Lily," he said, his voice softer now, "you have an incredible gift." She looked up at him, her eyes wide with surprise. "Thank you," she said quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. David smiled, feeling an unfamiliar warmth in his chest. "You know, you've just saved us," he continued, his tone genuine. "You've solved a problem that none of us could. I have to admit, I didn't see it coming." Lily shifted uncomfortably, clearly not used to receiving praise. David couldn't help but wonder how many times she had been overlooked, dismissed as just a maid's daughter. How many times had she quietly observed the world around her, knowing she had something to offer, but too afraid to show it? I'm just happy to help," she replied, her words modest, almost too modest. David watched her for a moment longer, and then a thought struck him. The company's most pressing project could be in serious jeopardy if they didn't figure out how to solve some of its language and technical issues. Perhaps this was the opportunity to bring her into the fold. Perhaps it was time to stop looking at people based solely on their job titles and to start recognizing talent where it truly existed. He cleared his throat and made a decision. "Lily," he said, "I think we need someone like you on the team. I want to offer you an official position here. You can help us with translations, but I'm also hoping you might assist us with some of our international projects. You're clearly very capable." Her eyes widened again, and for the first time, she looked at him directly. "You mean, like a real job?" she asked, her voice filled with disbelief. David nodded, smiling slightly. "Yes, a real job. You've proven you deserve it." Lily stood there for a moment, her heart racing. She had never imagined that something like this could happen to her. She had always felt like an outsider, like someone who didn't belong in places like this. But now, in this room full of powerful people, she was being given a chance she had never dreamed possible. As she processed David's words, she felt a sense of gratitude, but also a hint of fear. What would her mother think? How would her life change now that she had been offered a role in such a prestigious company? She had always wanted to help her mother, to make life easier for her, but she had never imagined it would come with this kind of responsibility. David noticed her hesitation and smiled reassuringly. "You don't have to decide right now," he said, "but I think you'll find that we could really use someone with your skills. I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do." Lily hesitated, but then nodded. "I'll think about it," she said, still in shock from what had just happened. As she left the room, her thoughts were racing. She had just taken the first step into a world she had never dared to dream of. She didn't know where it would lead, but one thing was certain. Her life had changed forever. The days following Lily's unexpected offer were a whirlwind. David's decision to bring her on board had shocked everyone, especially Lily herself. She had barely managed to process the idea of working in a corporate environment, let alone being given the opportunity to contribute to a project that could change the tech industry. She had never thought of herself as someone who could be part of something so big. But now, as she walked through the modern, gleaming office of the company, she realized that this was real. She was part of something important. Her first week at the office was a mix of excitement and anxiety. Lily was introduced to the team, many of whom had been in the company for years and had impressive credentials. Engineers, project managers, and marketing experts all welcomed her with curiosity. They had all heard about the young girl who had solved a problem no one else could. But, still, they couldn't quite believe she was now officially part of the team. Lily, for her part, kept to herself, nervous about her place in the company. She had never worked in such an environment before. She wasn't sure if she belonged. But as the days went by, she realized that she had more to offer than she had ever imagined. David made sure to involve her in the most critical discussions and projects. One of her first tasks was to help the engineering team with the translation of technical documents and communications with international partners. This was a job that required both precision and a deep understanding of the technical terms involved. David had seen her potential, and he was determined to help her grow. During one of their meetings, David asked her for her opinion on a new international partnership that the company was negotiating. He looked at her, the young girl who had once been just a shadow in the background, now standing at the forefront of important decisions. "Lily, what do you think?" he asked. She looked up, startled by the question. She had never been asked her opinion in such a formal setting. But David had always believed that the smartest decisions came from collaboration, and he saw Lily's talent as an invaluable asset. "I think the agreement should focus on long-term collaboration rather than a short-term deal," Lily said, her voice steady, though her hands trembled slightly. "This way, we build trust with the partners, and they'll be more likely to support us in the future. If we push for a one-time deal, it may backfire." David was impressed. Not only had she grasped the complexity of the situation quickly, but she had also offered a fresh perspective that the seasoned professionals in the room had overlooked. He nodded thoughtfully. "You're right," he said, turning to his team. "Let's go with that approach." The room was quiet for a moment as everyone processed what had just happened. Lily, the girl they had once dismissed, had just made a decision that could potentially shape the company's future. As the week continued, Lily's confidence grew. She found herself working closely with some of the top engineers and even offering her insights on their projects. Her perspective was often different, but it was always valuable. She didn't just translate words, she translated ideas. Her ability to bridge the gap between cultures and languages made her an essential part of the team. Despite her growing role in the company, Lily remained humble. She never boasted about her contributions, never sought attention. But those around her noticed. The engineers started to respect her not just for her language skills, but for her intellect and the way she approached problems. David, too, noticed the change in her. She was no longer the timid girl in the corner. She was becoming a leader in her own right, and he couldn't be prouder. As the days passed, Lily became more and more integrated into the team. She attended meetings, offered suggestions, and even started mentoring some of the newer employees. It was clear to everyone that she had a future at the company, and it was a bright one. The thought crossed David's mind. She could become a key figure in the company's future, a symbol of what true talent and determination could accomplish, no matter where you came from. Lily had come a long way from the quiet girl cleaning the floors of his office. Now, she was making waves in the corporate world, and David knew that this was only the beginning for her. As the weeks passed, Lily's role within the company continued to grow, and she quickly became an essential member of the team. David watched as she blossomed into a confident, intelligent individual who not only helped the company solve technical problems, but also inspired others to approach challenges from a different perspective. Lily's input was invaluable, and her ability to connect with people from different cultural backgrounds made her an asset in the company's global expansion efforts. Yet, even as her success within the company skyrocketed, Lily remained grounded. She never sought the spotlight, always preferring to let her work speak for itself. Despite the respect she had earned from her colleagues, she still carried the quiet humility of the girl who had once been overlooked. One afternoon, during a crucial meeting with international partners, the team faced a situation that threatened to derail months of progress. The negotiations had stalled, and no one in the room could agree on the next steps. Tension filled the air, and it seemed like the deal was on the brink of falling apart. David, who had always been able to navigate through difficult situations with ease, found himself struggling to find a solution. That's when Lily, sitting quietly in the back of the room, spoke up. "What if we shift the focus of the conversation to long-term collaboration rather than just immediate profit?" she suggested. Her voice, calm yet firm, broke through the tension in the room. "The partners are focused on the sustainability of the deal. If we approach it from that angle, we can build a stronger foundation for future cooperation." The room went silent for a moment. Everyone turned to look at Lily. It was clear that her words had resonated with the team. They had all been so focused on the immediate financial benefits that they had overlooked the importance of long-term relationships. David looked at her with a mixture of admiration and surprise. He had never seen anyone approach the problem in such a thoughtful and strategic way. "That's a brilliant idea, Lily," he said, his voice filled with respect. "Let's do it." With Lily's suggestion, the tone of the meeting shifted. The team worked together to reframe the negotiations, and soon enough, the partners agreed to a new approach that focused on mutual benefit and future growth. The deal was back on track, and Lily's influence had once again saved the day. It was moments like these that made David realize how much he had underestimated Lily in the past. She had proven herself time and time again, not just through her intelligence, but through her ability to understand people and situations at a level far beyond her years. As the deal was finalized and the partners left the meeting room, David called Lily into his office. "You've done it again," he said with a smile. "You're not just a translator. You're a key player in this company's success. I've been thinking a lot about your future here." Lily's heart skipped a beat. She had never expected to be considered for anything beyond her current role. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice tentative. David stood up and walked over to the window, looking out over the city. "I think it's time for you to take on a bigger role. I want to offer you a position in management. You've demonstrated time and again that you have the skills and the vision to lead. I'd like you to think about it." Lily was speechless. This was more than she had ever dreamed of. She had always wanted to make a difference, to prove that her background didn't define her. And now, she was being offered the opportunity to do just that. As she stood there, processing the enormity of the offer, David turned to her with a gentle smile. "You've earned it, Lily. You've shown us all what real talent looks like." Lily sat in her new office, the weight of the offer still sinking in. Her hands rested on the desk in front of her, the same desk where she had once sat nervously, unsure of her place in the company. Now, she was being offered a position in management, a dream she never thought would be within reach. It was a huge leap, and though she had proved herself time and again, she still felt the pressure of the responsibility that came with such an offer. The decision wasn't an easy one. She had always been content working behind the scenes, solving problems without the need for attention. She had never sought the spotlight, yet here she was, at the center of a potential career transformation. The offer was more than just a promotion. It was a chance to reshape her life and redefine what was possible for someone like her. David had recognized her talent, her vision, and most importantly, her potential to lead. He had seen her solve problems with ease, communicate with people from all walks of life, and understand the intricate workings of the company. And now, he was putting his trust in her to help lead it into the future. As she sat there, Lily thought about her mother, who had always believed in her even when others didn't. She remembered the long nights her mother had spent cleaning the offices, hoping that one day her daughter would be able to make a better life for them both. Lily had always dreamed of making that a reality, but now, with this new opportunity, it felt closer than ever. She knew it would take hard work, dedication, and a willingness to step out of her comfort zone. But she also knew she was ready. The following weeks were a blur of meetings, presentations, and new challenges. Lily dove headfirst into her new role, working alongside David and the management team to shape the company's future. She was given a team of her own, a group of talented individuals who respected her not just for her intellect, but for her ability to see the bigger picture. Her approach to leadership was different from the traditional style she had seen at the company. She was approachable, empathetic, and focused on collaboration. She believed in giving her team the space to grow, to make mistakes, and to learn from them. Her success wasn't just measured by her own achievements, but by the progress of those around her. One day, during a strategy meeting, Lily presented a new idea for expanding the company's reach into international markets. It was an ambitious plan, one that involved partnerships with overseas companies and the creation of localized products. As she spoke, her voice steady and confident, she could see the faces of the executives around the table. They listened intently, nodding along as she laid out the details of her vision. David, who had always been a skeptic, looked at her with a mixture of pride and admiration. "Lily," he said, once she had finished, "this is exactly what we need. I knew you had it in you." The team rallied behind her plan, and soon, the project was in motion. Lily had not only proved herself as a valuable member of the company, but also as a leader who could inspire others to reach their full potential. As the months passed, the company saw unprecedented growth, and Lily's reputation as a capable and visionary leader spread far and wide. She had transformed from a quiet, overlooked girl into a powerful force within the corporate world, a symbol of what could be accomplished when talent was recognized and nurtured. But for Lily, the greatest reward was not the success of the company or the accolades she received. It was knowing that she had made her mother proud, that she had finally created the future they had always dreamed of. She had come from nothing, but now, she was standing at the helm of something great. She smiled to herself as she looked out the window of her office. the city stretching out before her. This was only the beginning. The weeks that followed Lily's promotion were a blur of new challenges and opportunities. As the youngest member of the management team, she quickly proved that age and background meant nothing when it came to talent and dedication. Her innovative ideas helped drive the company's international expansion, and her leadership style fostered an environment where employees felt empowered to share their ideas. The company was growing, but Lily never lost sight of where she had come from. One evening, as she was leaving the office late, she passed by a small cafe where she used to sit with her mother after long days of cleaning offices. It was a quiet place, far removed from the corporate world that now defined her life. The familiar smell of freshly brewed coffee brought back memories of her humble beginnings, and she paused for a moment, lost in thought. She thought about her mother, who had worked tirelessly to make sure Lily had opportunities she never had. The memories of their struggles, the late nights, and the sacrifices made her even more determined to succeed. As she sat down at one of the tables, she pulled out her phone and called her mother. "Mom, I've been thinking about you," Lily said when her mother picked up. "How are you doing?" Her mother's voice was warm, filled with love. "I'm good, sweetheart. How's everything at work?" Lily smiled softly. "It's going well, Mom. You wouldn't believe how much has changed. I'm leading a team now, and the company is doing better than ever." There was a brief pause on the other end of the line. "I always knew you could do it," her mother said. "You've always had something special, Lily." Her words meant more to Lily than anything else. She had spent so much of her life trying to make her mother proud, and now, with everything she had accomplished, she felt like she was finally fulfilling that promise. The conversation shifted, and Lily began discussing some of the upcoming projects at the company. But as she spoke, her thoughts kept drifting back to her mother's unwavering belief in her. It was that belief that had carried her through the toughest moments of her life. As Lily hung up the phone, she felt a sense of gratitude wash over her. She had come a long way from the girl who had cleaned offices and been dismissed by the world. Now, she was a leader in her own right, and she had earned the respect of those around her. But as she walked out of the cafe and back into the world she had worked so hard to build, Lily knew that her journey was far from over. There were still challenges to face, more mountains to climb. But for the first time, she felt ready. Ready to take on whatever came her way, knowing that she had the support of her mother and the strength within herself to succeed. As the sun set on the city, Lily stood tall, looking out over the skyline. She had made it. But her story was just beginning. Lily's rise within the company had been nothing short of extraordinary. From the quiet girl who once sat in the corner of the office to the leader who now made critical decisions for the future of the business, she had proven that determination and hard work could break any barrier. But despite her success, the road ahead was far from easy. The pressure was mounting, and she found herself facing a new set of challenges, ones that would test not only her abilities but her character. One morning, as she entered her office, she was greeted by her assistant, who handed her an urgent message. It was from one of the company's largest investors, requesting an emergency meeting. The note was vague but hinted at concerns about the company's direction. As Lily read the message, she felt a familiar knot form in her stomach. She had dealt with challenges before, but this felt different. The meeting was scheduled for later that afternoon, and Lily knew that this could be a pivotal moment in her career. She spent the next few hours preparing, reviewing the company's financial reports, and meeting with her team to discuss the investors' concerns. As the time for the meeting approached, she couldn't help but feel the weight of the moment. When she entered the boardroom, the investor was already there, seated at the head of the table. He was a tall man with a stern expression, his presence commanding attention. Lily had met him before, but today, the stakes felt much higher. "Lily," the investor began without preamble, "I've been reviewing the company's performance, and I have to say, I'm not entirely convinced about the direction we're heading." His tone was blunt, and his words hit her like a punch to the gut. The room fell silent, all eyes on her as she processed the criticism. This was not the first time the company had faced scrutiny, but now, as a leader, the responsibility rested solely on her shoulders. "What exactly concerns you?" Lily asked, keeping her voice steady. The investor leaned forward, his fingers steepled in front of him. "Your expansion into international markets is ambitious, but I'm not sure you're prepared for the level of competition you'll face. The risks are higher than you think." Lily listened carefully, weighing his words. She had heard similar concerns before, but something in his tone made her realize that this was more than just a routine challenge. This was a test of her vision, her ability to think beyond the immediate successes and anticipate the future. "I understand the risks," Lily said, her voice calm and measured. "But I also believe that if we approach this with a long-term strategy and build the right partnerships, we can navigate those risks. I've seen the potential in our team and in our technology. We're more than capable of succeeding in international markets. It's just a matter of finding the right balance." The investor raised an eyebrow, clearly impressed by her confidence. "And what makes you so sure?" Lily took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts. "Because I've seen what we can accomplish when we work together as a team. We've already overcome so much, and I believe that we have the resources and the talent to make this work. We're not just expanding into new markets. We're building relationships, creating opportunities, and positioning ourselves for sustained growth." For a moment, there was silence. The investor studied her, his expression unreadable. Then, slowly he nodded. "You've made your case, Lily," he said. "I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But this better work. If it doesn't, there will be consequences." With that, the meeting ended, but the weight of his words lingered in the air. As Lily left the boardroom, she felt a mixture of relief and determination. The investor's doubts had been challenging, but they had only strengthened her resolve. She knew the path ahead wouldn't be easy, but she was more certain than ever that she was on the right track. This was her chance to prove not just to the investor, but to herself and her team that she was capable of leading the company to even greater heights. The next few weeks were filled with late nights and intense meetings as Lily and her team worked tirelessly to fine-tune the international expansion strategy. But despite the pressure, she remained calm and focused, knowing that every step they took was another step towards securing the company's future. As the project progressed, Lily saw the results of their hard work start to pay off. The partnerships they had forged began to bear fruit, and the company's presence in international markets grew stronger. It wasn't long before Lily realized that this was the beginning of something even bigger than she had imagined. With each success, she felt a renewed sense of pride, knowing that the journey she had started was far from over. As the months went by, Lily's leadership began to shape the company in ways no one had imagined. Under her guidance, the company not only expanded into new markets but also thrived in a way that surprised even the most skeptical investors. David, who had once doubted her, now watched her with admiration as she continued to defy expectations. She was no longer the quiet girl in the corner. She was a force to be reckoned with. But with success came new challenges. As the company grew, so did the complexity of its operations. Lily found herself faced with tough decisions, many of which would shape the future of the business. One evening, while reviewing the company's quarterly performance, Lily's phone buzzed with an urgent message from David. There was an issue with one of their key international partnerships. The partners, once enthusiastic, were now demanding more favorable terms, threatening to back out if their conditions were not met. Lily knew this could be a critical moment for the company. If she handled it poorly, it could undo everything they had worked for. She immediately called David and arranged a meeting for the following morning. The next day, as they sat in the conference room, the tension was palpable. David was pacing, clearly frustrated by the situation. "I don't know how this happened, Lily. We've been working so hard, and now this." Lily remained calm, her mind already working through the possible solutions. "We need to understand their concerns first," she said. "Maybe they're looking for something more than just financial gain. Let's approach this as a long-term relationship, not just a transaction." David looked at her, impressed by her ability to stay level-headed under pressure. "You're right," he admitted. "But we need to move quickly. If we don't act fast, we'll lose them for good." Over the next few days, Lily and her team worked tirelessly to resolve the situation. They held multiple meetings with the international partners, listening carefully to their concerns and negotiating terms that would benefit both sides. Lily's approach was different from the way the company had previously handled negotiations. She didn't just focus on the numbers. She focused on building trust and demonstrating the value of a lasting partnership. It wasn't easy, but after several tense days, they finally reached an agreement that satisfied both parties. The partners agreed to continue the collaboration, and the company's international expansion remained on track. As the deal was finalized, Lily felt a sense of accomplishment. She had navigated a potential crisis with poise and determination, proving once again that her leadership was the key to the company's success. David, who had been on the edge of his seat throughout the process, looked at her with a newfound respect. "You did it, Lily," he said, his voice filled with admiration. "I don't know what I would have done without you." Lily smiled, but she knew the work wasn't over. There would always be new challenges to face, new obstacles to overcome. But she had proven to herself, and to everyone around her, that she was more than capable of handling whatever came her way. As she left the conference room, Lily took a moment to reflect on how far she had come. Just a few years ago, she had been cleaning the very offices she now led. Now, she was guiding the company through its most critical moments, making decisions that would impact its future. She thought back to the days when she had doubted herself, unsure of her place in the world. Those days seemed so distant now. With each success, Lily grew stronger, more confident in her abilities. She was no longer the girl who had been dismissed by others. She was a leader in her own right. And as she looked out over the city from her office, she knew this was just the beginning. She had already accomplished so much, but there was so much more ahead. The road ahead would be challenging, but Lily was ready. She had earned her place at the top, and nothing would stop her from reaching even greater heights. As the years passed, Lily's role in the company continued to evolve. What had started as a chance opportunity had transformed into a career that not only fulfilled her dreams, but surpassed them in ways she could never have imagined. The company had grown exponentially under her leadership, breaking into new markets and solidifying its position as a global powerhouse. But for Lily, success wasn't just about the numbers or the accolades. It was about the journey, the lessons learned along the way, and the people she had helped along the path. One afternoon, as she sat in her office, reviewing the latest quarterly results, Lily received a message from her mother. It had been years since she had moved into the world of corporate leadership, but her mother's words still held the same weight. The message was short, but it carried a sense of pride that made Lily pause. "I always knew you'd make it, my dear. You've come so far. Keep going, keep shining." Those words, simple yet powerful, brought a smile to Lily's face. It was a reminder of the sacrifices her mother had made for her and how far they had come together. Lily had once been that girl who sat in the corner, overlooked by the world, wondering if she could ever break free from the limitations placed upon her. Now, she was a leader, someone whose decisions shaped the future of an entire company. But more importantly, she had become someone who could inspire others to rise above their circumstances and achieve greatness, no matter where they started. As Lily looked out of her office window, watching the city skyline stretch out before her, she reflected on the road she had traveled. There had been moments of doubt, moments when she questioned whether she was capable, but each challenge had only strengthened her resolve. She had faced criticism, skepticism, and pressure, but she had never given up. Her success was not just the result of hard work. It was the result of belief. The belief that no matter where she came from, she had the power to shape her own future. Lily had earned her place, not just in the boardroom, but in the hearts of those who had once doubted her. Her journey had inspired countless others, proving that talent, determination, and resilience could break through any barrier. She knew that the challenges ahead would be just as difficult as those she had already overcome, but she also knew that she was ready for them. She had come too far to stop now. The company's future was brighter than ever, and Lily was at the helm, leading with a steady hand and a vision for what was to come. But even as she looked toward the future, Lily never lost sight of what had gotten her there. It was the support of her mother, the belief of those who had seen her potential when no one else did, and the unwavering determination to prove that she belonged. The journey was far from over, but Lily knew one thing for certain. The road she had traveled had shaped her into the leader she was today, and there was nothing that could stop her from continuing to rise. She smiled to herself, knowing that the story of the girl who once cleaned the office had only just begun. This emotional cinematic narrative follows the unbelievable journey of a maid's daughter whose hidden gift with languages changes her life and shocks a powerful chief executive officer, transforming Mockery into respect and opening doors no one believed she deserved, blending inspiration, dignity, and justice into one unforgettable experience designed for fans of millionaire stories who believe talent can come from anywhere. This story captures the rise from invisibility to leadership through intelligence, perseverance, and humility, making it perfect for audiences who love dramatic success arcs and moral lessons. If you enjoy millionaire stories that highlight hidden brilliance, social inequality, and powerful reversals of fate, this video delivers a deeply satisfying payoff, told in a smooth voiceover-friendly style ideal for immersive listening. The journey showcases courage, mentorship, and the importance of seeing value beyond status, which is why millionaire stories like this resonate so strongly with viewers seeking hope and motivation. Share this video with anyone who loves millionaire stories about underestimated individuals proving their worth, and subscribe for more powerful narratives that inspire growth, empathy, and belief in human potential.